Hello and welcome to Basement Fodder, the only show whose hosts have unwittingly witnessed 3 necrophiliac sex acts in the last month.
Yeah.
I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave, and you could never unsee that.
Why? What? Why? Does this keep happening to us?
I don't know. We're like, hey, I don't know.
First it was the zombie sex at the end of Dead Snow 2.
Yeah.
Then it was that fucking simpleton hate fucking that corpse and child of God. Multiple times.
Yeah.
And now it's in this show that we watched today, which I have little understanding of how to describe.
Yeah, so it's another It Came from Netflix. We decided to watch
the very first TV show.
Yeah, TV show.
Well, a web series, actually, that was collected onto Netflix called Flesh for the Beast, Tsikos Curse.
Yeah. And
it's actually based partially off of a movie from 2003 called Flesh for the Beast, which I saw many years ago, but it's been a while. But it's what I would describe as a gore titty flick.
Yeah. Gore porn.
Gore porn, yeah. Gore porn. But basically it was about a parapsychologist investigating a mansion that was once a brothel occupied by succubus. That's what the movie was about.
Yeah.
Now the 2 main characters from the movie, different actors though, have crossed over into this series.
Yeah.
Which is about them doing paranormal investigation along with this girl named Tsutsiko, who is like a necromancer or psychic, sort of.
Basically, the story is, I guess, with her is like her mother was supposed to have like conceived her while mating with a demon or some shit like that, or at least that's what the superstitious little Japanese lady says. So that's what she goes on. She's supposed to be pretty gifted in like psychic and all kinds of other shit, but yeah, she dabbles in a lot of like dark magic, sex magic, like weird fucking shit, and she's really strange.
Yeah, I am at a loss to describe like what I think about it, because I felt very similar about the movie too. The movie kind of reminds me of like, I don't know how many of you guys watch those sort of movies, but like I used to watch a lot of those like 1970s Italian horror movies, and like the Lucio Fulci and like Zombie and things like that, which are very much like about nudity and blood and gore.
Yeah.
And this is very much what that movie is about. Yeah. And then the show, like, okay, there was boobs in the first
first 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
There's some titties. So.
And there was gratuitous amounts of corpse sex going on here. So essentially what happens is like they the 2 main characters, which are
John
and Aaron, the react to me laptop. The actors are Charlotte Pines and Patrick Smith, which I'm not familiar with either one of them, but
actually no, those aren't the same characters.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's they aren't the same character. I thought they were the same character. Well, anyway. It is based in that world. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, Diane Fortune and Dan Parsons, they're the 2 investigators. And they are like, he's a skeptic and she's the supposedly sensitive one, although she's full of shit.
He's the skeptical tech guy and she's the fucking hippy-dippy
metafucking physical chick.
Yeah, who's like, I'm going to go astral project while I do some shrooms and shit while I'm topless.
I find that extraordinarily hot for some reason.
Like, that's it.
Like, I think it's complete shenanigans, but God, I want to put my dick in you.
I want to put my dick in your shenanigans.
This show is filthy.
So, yeah, it was weird because it's like, it's a mix of like horror, porn, comedy.
It's definitely not taken seriously at all.
No, that's the thing. Like, they are literally just poking fun at like all those paranormal shows.
Very much so, yeah. Like the Paranormal State or
Ghost Hunters.
The one that I've been watching a lot lately, which has the psychic and the cop.
I don't know, but yeah, shit like that where they even make a crack about it. Like I could just be on TV and schlep our way up to the top.
Yeah, the metaphysical chick is like, I'm okay with that. Like,
I'm okay with it. Schlep if we need to schlep.
But they're already a team, and they get like contacted by this professor at Yale that they're friends with, who kind of like turns them on to stuff, and he turns them on to this Tsutsiko chick. who is batshit insane, I think.
Oh, God, yeah.
And she's like all like, I'm so goth and emo and shit. And fucking they hook up together and they meet her and shit, and she's all weird and creepy.
And the skeptical guy's like, I don't know. And the hippy dippy chick's all like, you're hot and I like you, so you should join. Like, it's just, I'm like, half the time I'm like, do you dig her because, you think she's got the skills, or do you want to see if she can pay the bills?
Yeah, you want to wear a face for a mask.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, wear a crotch for a mask, I should say.
Yeah.
So, they, in order to give her sort of a tryout, they let her tag along or be part of their current case, which is like this rich lady comes to see them, and her fiance had died a few years ago.
Right during their, supposed wedding.
Yeah, and so she wants to do this thing called a posthumous wedding where, she marries his spirit or something.
Yeah,
And the dude's like, this is not really what we do.
Yeah.
And then the Tsikos chick is like, oh, I can help you with this, Well,
it was basically, they're like, there's nothing we can do. And then she was like, well, I need you to, get my, dead fiance's spirit. That's what I need from you guys. And they're, like you said, he's like, we don't do that. We monitored seances, but we don't do it. And like you said, the Tsikos chick was like, I can do it. And oh my God.
So here's the thing. I will say this before we go into detail. This is fucking gross.
Yeah.
Now, we have to pull inference from some of this because it's not totally shown, because I think there's only so much you can show when it comes to shit like this.
Yeah.
But essentially what happens is she says, I need to visit his grave. And the lady's like, well, I can take you there. And she's like, no, I must go alone. And they're like, why? Because we monitor stuff. We need to get in. And she's like, no, must go alone.
Yeah,
so
much.
She goes to the grave, and she starts doing this ritual on top of it that is very, very masturbating.
It's very tantric.
Very tantric and very masturbating. And I think that you probably got this impression too. The impression that I got is that somehow she blew this corpse. I don't know why, or does she somehow obtain seed from this fucking thing somehow? I don't know, because there was definitely some semen thing happening there.
I don't know if it was semen or if it was just something else.
Fluid, semen, something. Yeah. It was fucking, whatever. Anyway, some sort of sex thing happened on this guy's grave. And then at the end of it, his fucking hand all burst through and shit, Zombo style.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? And so, they're having the supposed wedding at this, desecrated church, which they show you that by, showing the steeple and the cross is, knocked over.
Yeah.
I'm like, inference. So this dude is, officiating, and this guy was actually, he had, one line in the whole thing, but he was cracking me the fuck up.
Yeah, because he
just kept standing there looking incredulous, to the whole thing.
All right, I know I'm a pretty out there minister guy, but what the fuck am I doing?
It looks like
here?
If Stephen Wright and Cleve Hall had a baby, this guy.
God, yeah.
He's fucking...
Hey, I'm pretty high right now.
At some point, he just kind of looks over at the fucking skeptic guy and is like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. You guys paid me. I don't give a
So they wait, and then the fucking Tsikos chick comes stumble fucking in, and
has a goddamn stroke
asses out on the floor, and then starts spewing shit out of her mouth that looks suspiciously like nut.
And her eyes are all white.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
And I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like mucus, and it doesn't look like vomit. It looked like semen. No, it fucking did. You know it did.
I didn't think it did.
It was all butter fucking shit, someone just blew a load on her face. This show's dirty. Yeah. But anyway.
That's what he said.
I'm telling you that's what it felt. You go on Netflix and watch that fucking show. It was spunk.
He wants it to be spunk.
No, I don't. God, I wish it wasn't. I wish it wasn't so badly. His mind
has gone to the dark place.
No, I wish it wasn't so badly, because this show's fucking gross. And I'm so tired of watching necrophiliac sex. That little Asian
girl suck off that dead guy. Yeah, the spunk.
It's fucking gross. It makes my dick want to die.
So a little Asian girl could suck it and get the spunk from it?
No, God, no. I'm not into the Asian girls, really. I mean, they're nice, but, not for me.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Well, you're dead. I mean, you're glad anyway.
I mean, I guess dead beggars can't be choosers, but anyway. So, fucking... They wait around for a minute, and the chick's all in this, pretty dress, very 1940s, Elizabeth
nice.
Taylor,
very classy.
sort of classy wedding dress, classy. Veronica Lake, something like that. And,
eccentric rich person.
So, dead fiance comes through the door, and he looks pretty normal, except for his face is a little bit like gauntish, yeah.
With the makeup.
And he's in a tuxedo and shit, and he comes in, and like she apparently is the only one who can see him.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them are like, I don't know what she's looking at and shit.
Yeah.
But like. So, like, they have the ceremony, which is hilarious, because basically she just says, like, a bunch of vows, and then the guy's like, and I now pronounce you, but he doesn't say anything.
Well, no, yeah, you imagine, that, like, because she's the only one that can see him, they don't expect anything to be said. So it's kind of like, basically, once I do my vows, you basically...
And, like, skeptic guy and fucking metaphysical chick are like, okay, like...
Well, yeah, skeptic guy's like, I can't see anything, nothing, like, he's videotaping, he's like, nothing's on the camera, but the metaphysical chick has, like, one of these devices that's supposed to read, like, electromagnetism.
EMP or some shit like that.
And it was going fucking haywire, and she herself is, like, kind of open to that, and she was like, I can feel something's here, like, something is here.
Yeah.
So... They do that, and then they leave.
Yeah, and then they're like, well, she's like, Tsikos chick's like, we need to go back to the hotel because I must help them consummate. And then the chick was like, the metaphysical chick was like, so you want to do like a weird three-way with them or something?
She's like, no, not like that.
She's like, no, but I must help them in my weird way. And then so she goes back to her room. And they keep cutting back to them, and, like, they're having sex. Like, and he looks pretty normal.
Yeah, he looks normal, and they're banging, and she's on her bed.
She's on her bed, like, vigorously rubbing one out. With, like shoving, like,
she's, like, getting ghost banged.
She was, like, having a picture of the guy and, like, shoving it. No, that was earlier. But, yeah, we missed that. She, like, shoved a picture of the guy up her twat and shit.
Yeah, something.
What? And, fucking... She's like vigorously ghost rubbing one out and shit and fucking while they're fucking.
I mean, yeah, just like doing some crazy shit. And so they consummate, it gets over. And then...
and shit gets real.
Yeah, shit gets real. Like the candle gets blown out, and then it's like reality kind of fucking sets in, and she hears screaming, and when she goes in there, she sees something. They don't show you what she sees.
Yeah, like she pulls back the covers, and there's no one there, but she sees something, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, so she basically calls the other two and was like, you got to come help me. The chick's in danger, and tech guy magically has a gun.
Yeah, I never mentioned why before, but whatever.
Yeah, like whatever. I mean,
whatever, man.
That would make sense. If you're skeptical, you're like,
skeptical. Oh my gosh, shoot a motherfucker.
Yeah. So they show up, and when you see the couple again, she's unconscious and being carried by the guy, but he doesn't.
He's all zomboed
out. Like, you can see he's a corpse.
He's all gaunt and fucking, like, corpsey looking and shit.
And she basically... I don't understand what happened with the partner with the camera. Like... She starts freaking out, and he, like, grabs a hold of her and was like, what's wrong? And then she freaks out and, like, pretty much, like, holy smited back smack the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And it, like, somehow hurts the zombie, too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that
was weird. But she, like, goes all woo-joo fucking...
Yeah, and essentially, like, he's trying... Like, the dead fiance or dead husband, I suppose, now is, like, trying to kill her so he can, like, take her back to the grave with him and shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, motherfucker, like, she's, like, all in his head and shit. Like, I brought you back and I fucking control you. And, like,
I'll send you to hell.
All in Japanese and shit.
Yeah.
And fucking... the dude is like, fuck this, and just, like, blows noodles through that fucking corpse's head with his gun, and the corpse just, like, no-sells it completely.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucking splats on the chest of the fucking lady who's all passed out and shit.
It's like,
But I was like, ugh. Grody.
But, so she basically convinces him to, like, you'll see her here in, like, a flash anyways, like, you're dead, so time doesn't, like...
In the blink of an eye is how she said it, yeah.
So he, goes... basically back to the grave, like...
Yeah, and then the chick is all, like, super grateful at the end of it and, like, gives him a fat-ass check or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, like, they're all sitting around like, well, so you're going to be, like, permanent part of the team now? And she's like, yeah, totally. And I'm like, what the fuck did we just watch?
Yeah, and then they're like, she's fucking, so, like, they're all like, yeah, you're part of the team, now take a few days off. And then she goes back to her hotel room and pretty much, like, is freaking the fuck out, like, having these flashbacks, and it's like every flashback you see is like the scene where you saw the guy and he looked normal, and then they like flip it and you see him as the fucking dead guy.
Yeah, so, like, while they're fucking, you can see him being all corpsed out and shit. Yeah,
corpsed out. And, like, I mean, in the thing when he, like, looks alive, he's, like, moving around. But when he's zipped to the corpse, he's just, like, staring there. And then you realize that she just banged a corpse. Like, not even a zombie, just a corpse. And, fucking this...
She's gonna have a bunch of little zombie fucking sperm swimmers inside of her going,
They show you when, like, the fucking... They finally show you when she had turned back the the covers, what she saw was a bunch of fucking maggots.
Million maggots
everywhere and stuff. So I'm like, oh, that's grody. But like, this chick is weird. Like, there was a scene where she was like peeing in a fucking
oh my god, yeah, I can't believe we forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
So like the metafucking physical chick goes to pick her up at the hotel.
She's making weird noises.
And she's like making weird noises in the bathroom, and she opens the bathroom door, and the bitch is like squatting on the bathroom door floor, pissing into a bottle, and she's like, "Fuck off, bitch!"
And like she's like channeled the devil, like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Just like, and then at that moment, we just both looked at each other like, "What the fuck?"
And it looked like she was doing something like that again at the end of it, because then by the time
that's when she had that vial that I swear it looked like spunk again.
No, the vial was during the consummation thing. But yeah, during the like last scene and stuff, she's in the bathroom and you can something saying her name and she's freaking out and there's like fluids on the
maybe that's her sing-hum like theme music.
And it's just fucking weird. And I like the ratings for this thing are horrible.
Yeah,
the reviews
1 3/4 stars I think is what the net rating is.
Yeah,
they're half-hour episodes. I think that there's like maybe 12, maybe 6. I can't remember.
They did like.
I'm totally gonna watch the rest of it.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's weird. It's like a super off sense of fucking like weird humor.
It's very much my sense of humor, I would say.
Depravity type shit. Yeah, it's just so weird because it's like an amalgamation of things that you're like, what the fuck? Yes. And they're like, oh, you wouldn't think to go there, and they're like, no, we're going there. We're gonna fuck it.
We're gonna fuck it in
We're gonna go there. We're gonna fuck it. Don't even care.
I'm like, man, what we have just horrible luck with like getting unwittingly witnessing necrophiliac sex acts lately.
Like recently, you're like, oh my god.
But if it's taught me one thing, it's that I'm not into that. Thank God. I always get afraid that you'll see the thing and you'll be like, oh crap, I'm into it.
You feel like a movement in your trousers, then you're like, oh god. Oh shit, I can't now.
It reminds me of that terrifying sex toy that I told you about that I saw earlier in the week, the foot.
Yeah.
It's like a realistic...
I had a friend send me
that it's a realistic human foot that's cut off at the ankle and that has a pussy.
Yeah. And the pussy looks disturbing.
The pussy looks fucking weird too.
I have a friend who has a foot fetish, and we joked about like that. We're like, hey, I know somebody that would like that.
Somebody who wants to fuck that foot.
Or I really got disturbing with it because I was fucking with friends, showing them it. And I was like, now imagine you're fucking this, and then the girl, she's really into like sucking on toes, so she's sucking on toes you're banging, and they're like, oh my god, that's gross. And I was like, I know, no vomit.
Yeah, I may now be flaccid for life.
That's right. They're like, how could you imagine this?
I think this depravity is good, like fucking ramping up for Sexapalooza. It's gonna be just dildos every motherfucking where.
Yeah. I'd be like, hey, where's that ankle pocket pussy?
Y'all got that ankle flashlight? The foot fucker?
Okay, so speaking of that, I actually, from hanging out with my friends, they told me a story about one of my friends who's dating this hooker.
They got an actual hooker?
She might
just a bitch.
She's just a bitch. Like, horrible. I would probably throw hot grease on her. She's a bitch. But apparently, he was allowed to get a fleshlight.
Allowed?
Yeah.
Bitch.
It's very much like she lives at his house and tells him what he's allowed to do and stuff like that. Like,
hey, if I want to fuck a flashlight, I will fuck a flashlight.
Yeah, well, she told him he couldn't get one of the he had to get just the very basic, ordinary one. He couldn't get one of the porn star ones.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And I'm like, what? I'm like, bitch, if I'm paying for this, I'll buy what I want.
Fuck Tara Patrick if I want to.
Second off, if I'm choosing to fuck a flashlight over you, I definitely am going to get the one I want. Like, Jesus, you no teeth having hooker?
Oh, really?
I mean, I've heard. Possibility. I'm like, you busted, you got no teeth? I was like, why? Why? Be more constructive.
Be more constructive with your feedback. I don't know what to think about it. Like I can't like in good conscience recommend it because like it's not gonna be for most people.
Oh yeah.
As far as the show. If you're like into like raunchy like comedy of the horror and grossness of that nature,
this is you got to be into all of it.
Still might not be into it.
You have to be into all of it, and it has to be that right. It hits you at the right way. Basically, if you're feeling adventurous or brave and you want to try something,
the 30-minute episode.
Yeah,
it's very quick.
We just watched the first episode just to be like, I don't want to
see what it was like.
I don't want to commit to more than just one because I'm like.
Plus, we've never really done a TV show for the segment before.
So we did the pilot episode. That's what that was, which you could obviously tell because what she looks like in the second episode, you can tell
very different.
Different. They had kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but
as far as a movie that it's derivative of, like, or if it's derived from, I would probably recommend that because I enjoyed it. There's a lot of bad acting in it, but
a lot of bad
imagery-wise, though, it's pretty cool.
I think it's from Germany, isn't it?
I don't know if it's Germany, but it's definitely foreign of some sort.
The writer is from Germany.
It's possible.
But yeah, it's very like just.
It's very like I would say it's more like Hungarian or like Budapest or something like Budapest, Hungary. Yeah, I think this might be like Hungarian or something like that. Yeah. But I would probably. I mean, you could pick it up for about $3 on eBay.
Oh yeah, free shipping.
I think you can even watch the entire thing on YouTube.
Yeah, you probably can.
But yeah, Flesh for the Beast, Tsikos Curse
is the show.
And it is on Netflix now. Yeah. You know what else is on Netflix now that I'm not watching?
I knew he was going to talk about
this. Motherfucking Interview is up there now. Yeah. And if you guys listened to our episode a few weeks ago when this was week before last episode. When we did Child of God, I ranted about the interview. Yeah. I think I ranted about the interview twice. And I'm not going to go into all that bullshit again, but I'm not watching this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Unless I get to a really hateful place.
I just love how they sent me an email. They're like, oh, hey,
guess what, Dave?
Yeah, we found a video you might like that just got added, and it was the interview. And I was like, I don't think you understand me at all, Netflix. Like,
I thought we were friends.
What the what, man?
Stop recommending this shit to me.
Stop it. It's bad.
Well, I can tell that, like, because Not Dave has a friend that she lets use our Netflix login sometimes, and I'll look at my list of, like, things that got watched, and I'll be like, I didn't watch Hope Floats. Why the fuck is this on there? And then it's telling me, like, you should watch How to Make an American Quilt, or, like, Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and I'm like what?
All right.
Stop fucking up my feed!
I'm like, all right, we're creating another profile. Like, who's watching this? Not people fucking up my shit. Like...
No, I don't want to watch Fried Green Tomatoes. You'd rot in hell and die.
Steel Magnolias can suck my dick. Pretty woman, fucker. It's about a prostitute named Mr.Rhee.
Who had sex with a pretty woman named Julia Roberts. Yeah. We've been watching a lot of Flight of the Conchords videos. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend it. I will probably watch more of it. Hell, we might come back to it at some point later.
Oh, yeah, I'll probably watch some other episodes of it.
We might review some other episodes later on for the fuck of it. I think that would be kind of fun as an offshoot of it came from Netflix is to do like the other episodes of the show.
Yeah.
As just mini reviews.
Yeah.
We also, since we went comic book shopping yesterday, picked up some comics.
Yeah.
And you picked up the first issue of Tales of Mr.Rhee, Carmageddon, and then you also picked up the first issue of Mercy Sparx.
Yep.
You read both today.
Yep.
So you have, what are your thoughts on Mercy Sparx?
It's interesting. I mean, it's really good artwork. The story is interesting. The characters.
A lot of story. There's
a lot of story to it. A lot of, like, I don't know. It's interesting because there's a lot of, like, shit where it's like, oh, wow, a lot of fucking rogue angels doing shitty things.
Yeah, if you guys aren't familiar with Mercy Sparx, essentially she was born in Sheol, which is kind of like a place between heaven, hell, and purgatory. And she's sort of a deviling, which is kind of like a demon.
Yeah.
And she essentially is like a bounty hunter type thing that she like does jobs for heaven essentially.
Yeah, she's there like
takes down rogue angels.
Yeah, she's like their like little Weapon X type thing where she goes and beats the shit.
She kind of does like heaven's dirty work.
Yeah.
And it's done by Devil's Due Entertainment, which is the same company that publishes Tales of Mr.Rhee.
Yeah. And Squawwarriors.
And Squawwarriors. And it's done by Josh Blaylock and Matt Murhoff. And Josh Blaylock I met at Cincinnati last year, and he's a very nice guy. And I'm a big fan of it. This is your first exposure to it, and I've got all the issues so far. I think it's really good. I think if you read the rest of the issues, you'll definitely get a better idea and a feel for it. It is actually the second series of it, but I don't know where to get the first.
See, I mean, it's already hard for me because I don't do normally female-driven anything.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing that you don't do.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing against the characters or anything like that. It's just like it's one of those I have a hard time kind of identifying with it. But she seems pretty cool.
I like Josh Blaylock's writing a lot.
Yeah.
And I like Matt Merhoff's artwork a lot. Like a lot. I think he draws women very, very, very sexy.
Yeah.
And the angels are all very sleutery, slutty looking. And Mercy, of course, is very sexy as well. She has a lot of cool tattoos.
Yeah.
That are kind of angelic related. And I think she gets tattoos often when she takes down an angel. She often gets a tattoo to commemorate it.
Yeah.
And there's some interesting creature stuff going on there. And like their versions of hell and heaven look very interesting. Michael, the Archangel, is one of the coolest representations of that I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
He has this really he's like this sort of elk
yeah, like
antlers on his helmet.
Well, like he has two different forms.
Yeah, he has like an elk form.
He has like an elk form, and then he like shifts out of that form into like the angelic form, and it's still very like the armor looks very like almost. It looks like gold and tree armor together.
It's gorgeous.
It's really different. And he has like a tri-halo.
Yes.
He doesn't just have one, he has a tri-halo, which is
very, very cool.
Unique.
I mean, if you're into that sort of thing, if you're into the supernatural thing, and she does cross over with Mr.Rhee also in one of the later issues of the second series there. If you're into that sort of world, if you like Mr.Rhee, you'll probably like this.
Yeah.
They're not exactly the same sort of a thing, but like they are in that some supernatural sort of like it's a little bit more lighthearted, I would say.
Yeah, she's like one of those like classic-y, like rebellious hard ass characters.
She's like hard drinking, fucking, and fighting, and all that stuff, and she's entertaining and kind of a bitch.
I don't think she tells the angels to go fuck off enough.
Not nearly enough.
Not nearly enough.
I mean, like, she gets sassy with them and shit, but not as much as she probably should. Although my favorite part of the first issue is she's having a fight with this one angel, and she's trying to tell her, like, I came here to deliver a message. I'm not trying to kick your ass or whatever.
But from the stuff that had happened earlier, these angels don't like her.
Because she's killed many of their sisters and shit. Yeah. And she's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to have to give you my autograph or whatever. And she slips on this, like, brass knuckle that says ass on it.
Yeah, and just
belts that bitch right in the face.
I love, though, because like I'll see like in the montages of her fighting, I think she's a really big fan of what I like to call the super powwow cunt punt, because it's like I see her kicking so many like angels in the vagina, just like and I'm like, oh, that's awesome! Like just kick that little bitchy angel in the cooter.
And then, of course, you did the number one of Mr.Rhee.
Yeah, I did Mr.Rhee.
What did you think about Mr.Rhee?
I like Mr.Rhee. It's definitely interesting because it is very much, you know, with what's going on in the, you know, the setting.
Nightmare World setting.
You know, there's that whole, like, I'm just trying to survive, and people are like, oh, you're a hero, or this shit like that. It's a lot of, you know, too much pressure, or weird stuff like that. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to, like...
Doing that black magic?
Yeah, just doing that. Oh, my God. I love that.
Oh, Dirk Magic.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, this little girl was, like, asking him, like, you know, if he was fucking magic, because she's Christian. She was like, you know, are you a Satanist? Are you doing magic? Like, dark magic? And he was saying something about, like, what am I doing? Black magic?
No, you're not gonna ask me if I do black magic.
Yeah, asked me if I do black magic, and then they kind of looked at each other and started laughing, and I was like, "That's funny."
Black magic from the waist down only.
Yeah. But it was good. I liked it.
I think Mr.Rhee as a character is very relatable. Like, he's not like your Doctor Strange where he's like completely in control of everything, and he's somewhere like more of a Constantine sort of level where it's like it's almost a reluctancy. It's like, I know these things and I kind of know enough to get by, but I'm certainly no fucking expert and certainly no hero.
The thing about, I think that separates him from like the Constantine is like Constantine's a con man.
Yeah.
Like, Constantine will constantly fucking like trick and fuck you over hardcore.
Yeah.
Mr.Rhee just seems like he's trying to survive.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. He like he'll save people, and he doesn't want to like, you know, put people in harm's way. But survival is his number one thing. Yeah. Whereas John is constantly kind of getting one over. You know.
And I have picked up issue 3, but I have not. I didn't get a chance to read it yet today. But I will be reading it, and of course I would review it as I've done on the rest of them. It does make me sad in a way because I look at that thing on the cover that says 3 or 4, and I'm like, there's only going to be one more. But if I know Dirk Manning, that's not the end of Mr.Rhee.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, you guys should check out the Friends of Dirk Manning group so you can take a look at the information for the fundraising for the hardcover edition of Tales from Mr.Rhee Carmageddon.
Oh, yeah, that'd be sweet.
There's some really cool stuff in there, including a chance to actually be a character in the comic.
Is it?
For the full
Really?
comic, yeah, be like a main character of a comic.
How much is that?
Yeah, exactly.
I'll do that. Shit. I already got my outfit already.
It should be us.
Hey, Dirk.
It should be us.
I'll throw down some loot.
Anything to support a good friend and a great book.
And just be like, I was in a comic, bitches.
Yeah, I was in a comic, motherfucker. My name was already in there. Booty woo. Swiggity swooty. Coming for that comic booty.
That's right.
Speaking of other comic news, we were surfing through the comic book and movie related news on comicbookmovie.com, which is one of my favorite sites for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, rumors. Okay, now they'll tell you outright, these are rumors and these are from different people. A lot of these other sites will be like, oh, this is gospel, and then it's like, it's bullshit.
Yeah. One of the most interesting stories we came across was General Zod to become Doomsday in Batman vs. Superman. Now, this is a sort of an interesting theory or a rumor that people have come up with. But apparently what they're saying is that it's possible that in the story that Zod's corpse is taken by LexCorp and experimented on in hopes of finding a weakness to exploit Superman. Yeah. And in the course of the experimentation, they would trigger what they call the Doomsday genome, causing the corpse to reanimate into the mindless killing machine known as Doomsday. Yeah. Now, okay, obviously that's not canon.
No.
But I think it sort of fits with the world that Zack Snyder has made. Yeah. And I would think that would be like a sort of almost a logical way for the Doomsday to exist.
Yeah, because there's been a lot of rumors going back and forth about who the other villain is, because you can't just have Luthor. Lex. I mean, Lex is a puppet master. You need the puppet, and the puppet's got to be a bruiser. It's got to be somebody that can go toe-to-toe, And
there had been talks about Mongol at some point, but I don't think Mongol works well in that role because he is a conqueror. Yeah. He's not a puppet.
And there'd be so much to have to, talk about to bring him in. Then there's also been talk about Brainiac. Problem with that is Brainiac is nothing that can be built on Earth. That's the problem. Brainiac is otherworldly. So, I mean, it's possible down the line, but I don't think it should be
they did toy with the AI stuff in the first movie, and so it is completely plausible.
It's completely plausible, but I think, again, it's down the line. Yeah. It's one of those things. Because also, Brainiac himself is not necessarily a bruiser. He is a fucking puppet master as well. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't work for fucking Luthor. I think Doomsday is, it makes sense, especially because then you get to bring back Zod. Now, there are some holes to this because based off what they're talking about, Luthor is not...
He's not the comic Lex. He's more of this Mark Zuckerberg sort of, mogul of that nature.
Yeah. Who knows how to play it. So it's the whole, they're experimenting on him. I'm like, yeah, okay, so there's going to have to be another character who's the smart one who's doing this shit. And it's those are little
from what I understand, he's still supposed to be the level, the genius level that Luthor is in the comics.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, there are pinprick holes in certain things, but, there are going to have to, especially considering how many of the Justice League members are slated to be in this movie.
Good God.
Whether or not they actually take part in a lot of the action or not, there's still a lot. So it's just being the main villain is Luthor.
I just have to say, I keep the more that they talk about this thing's going to be in it and this thing's going to be in it and these many characters and this, Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Cyborg and all these fucking characters, and I'm it makes me a little bit frightened about it. It makes me a little bit apprehensive because there's just so much they're trying to cram into one movie. You've already got Batman and Superman in there.
Well, I wonder to a degree of how much we're going to be seeing these people. Yeah. I feel what's going to happen is we're going to get some 2-3 minute cameos type stuff. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah. If you want a cameo, introduce some characters and then, do that, that's fine. But... nothing super extensive because it is, it's Batman v Superman. It should be about those two and Luthor.
I agree.
So,
Since we're talking about Batman vaguely, I need to mention to you folks, because some of you have sent me messages about this, I don't care how good you think Gotham is getting. I will never fucking watch Gotham. I have had my fill of that idiocy, that stupid slap in the face to any comic book fan that there's ever been. I don't care if in the next episode 48 porn stars appear and start blowing Jim Gordon. I'm still not fucking watching it. I will not watch it.
Say that doesn't help me. I'm not getting the blowjob.
Yeah. It's not happening. So just stop sending me messages about watching Gotham. Fuck Gotham, and well, fuck you for making me want to watch it. Or wanting to make me watch it, I should say.
Yeah, well, yeah. It happens.
Unless Jada Pinkett's character gets horribly murdered, like in the basically
they'll watch that episode.
Yeah, the entire 50 minutes of the episode is just her getting severely beaten to death. Then perhaps I would watch
the Penguin
that episode only.
Yeah, this episode Penguin beats Jada Pinkett's character to death.
Like, sign me up, baby. DVR.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Oh, speaking of Batman, though, we the comic book website showcased. Apparently, there was a game that was supposed to be made. It was
a Justice League fight game.
Yeah, it was a Justice League. Basically, I think it was something either before the Mortal Kombat DC universe or right after it. They were trying to do like a standalone one before Injustice came along. And it's a Mortal Kombat fighter game, and it got crapped out. Like it
never got produced.
But they have two like videos of some of the fighting, and one is Batman versus Superman, and the other is Bane versus Bizarro. Now, we wanted to see what they looked like, and graphics for that time
they
period,
look more than fine.
Yeah, graphics at that time period, it was fine. The only thing is, like, shenanigans is the first fight. I mean,
Batman just rips the living piss out of Superman.
Yeah,
like it's not even.
and
like, he's taking blasts of heat vision and no selling them.
Yeah, like it's basically the problem, and I've seen them do this with a bunch of games. Is like because it's Superman, they feel like he constantly needs to just be floating in this like levitated state. And the problem with that is the movement of the levitation is so slow, whereas Batman's just running around flipping and kicking the shit out of him.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. I know that everybody likes to think, oh, what if Batman and Superman fought? I'm like, okay, first of all, it's not an even fight remotely, unless Batman's rocking some fucking kryptonite chonies and like kryptonite gauntlets and shit.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna fucking matter. He can stand there and punch Superman until he breaks every bone in his fucking hand, and Superman's just gonna laugh at him.
Yeah.
Because it's a joke. Unless he's wearing some sort of augmentation, some sort of armor, something.
Yeah.
Just straight up a fight, Superman could literally flick him between the eyes and kill him.
Yeah. But, so, I mean, that one was a little, like, whoever was playing, the tester that was playing Superman.
Whoever's playing Superman fucking sucked.
Yeah, he was just retarded. The game seemed like it had some weird mechanics, too, because, like, it seemed like if you knock somebody up in the air, they just hovered in the air in this, like, slow-mo bullet time type thing, while everybody else still moved at a normal pace. And it, like...
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
I could see where it would be, like, set up for...
doing, like, mid-air combos and shit.
But it just lasted way too long.
That sort of thing makes more sense to me in, like, Mortal Kombat when it's, like, when it's martial artsy shit.
Yeah.
But, like, in this context, it just seemed out of place.
I mean, it's fine as long as they had just cut down the time a lot.
Yeah.
And the first fight ends with Batman winning in
a ridiculous level.
Like, beat the shit out of Superman. Like, I think Superman pulled off, like, one awesome combo that I'm like, that combo alone would have won.
Yeah.
Like, so we were kind of like, crap. We watched the second one, and after seeing the first one, we're like, oh, God, they're going to make Bane beat up Bizarro, which is shenanigans. And actually, whoever was playing Bizarro...
Yeah, Bizarro circle stomp Bane.
Whooped the shit out of him. But this one showcased a feature in the game that looked really interesting, too. Because it's a Justice League, it seems like you had the ability to pick allies or something. Like, you could do a combo, kind of like Marvel versus Capcom, where you could have a secondary character
reminded me of the old, like, Avengers game and stuff, where you could, like, hit the button and it would call in, like, Wonder Man to fly you out of somewhere or something. Yeah.
What happened was Bizarro would be fighting, and then he would do this combo, and it looked like it was katana.
Yeah, it did look like a katana.
Yeah, like a more modern katana would drop in and do the fucking, like, this badass combo and whoop Bane's ass. And this one ended as it should, with Bizarro beating the holy shit out of fucking Bane.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But the game looked, if you like those fighting games, it looked, up your street as far as like big, expansive, like environment you can destroy and fight in.
Yeah. It looked like it could have been a fun little beat 'em up game, but here's the thing about those games, and I've said this before, I have like such a finite interest in games like that. Like fight games, I seriously lose interest after like maybe a day or two. I just it just doesn't fuck, like, I don't know, like I get bored with them so fucking fast because it's just so repetitive.
Yeah.
It's like any of like beat 'em up games are very repetitive like
They're
that,
fun
especially
with
ones that
friends.
don't really have a plot.
Yeah.
Like if you're just sitting around in a room and you're drinking with your buddies or something and beating the shit out of each other, that's one thing. But like to sit there and be like, okay, I'm going to play through this game. Like Injustice, I've never played like more than one fight.
Yeah.
Like, and it has some level of story. It just is, no.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, one of the stories that we're seeing is that Tyrese Gibson is lobbying to play Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
Yeah. In both the Justice League and the new standalone movies. Yeah. And apparently he's calling out Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't want it to be Jon Stewart at all.
I don't either. But here's the thing, though. I hate to say this because I love Idris Elba.
Oh, Idris Elba would be a great Jon Stewart.
He would be, but I kind of would go in this direction more because, like, Idris Elba is very, I don't know. Jon Stewart is a certain sort of, it depends on the Jon Stewart they're using. Because if it's the Jon Stewart of the animated series where he's very gung-ho military, former guy and shit like that, and he's very, like, super strong and all that shit, I can see that.
Yeah.
But if it's like the more traditional comic Jon Stewart, I would definitely see Tyrese being a decent one.
Yeah, I mean,
Idris Elba, I think it would be a waste to use him as Jon Stewart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, the way they've been doing Jon Stewart now, too, is he's also still very kind of, like, kind of a militant hard ass, too, sometimes, when he's not boo-hooing about himself.
There's some very cool-looking fan art that someone did.
Yeah.
That is quite if you want to see any of these stories, you can go to comicbookmovie.com. I would definitely check out those videos because the Superman Batman one is fucking ridiculous and the other one's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people coming out of the woodwork kind of lobbying to play Green Lantern because they still haven't decided which Green Lantern it is, if it's going to be Hal or if it's going to be John, because those are the two front runners for which Green Lantern. They're not going to do Kyle and they're not going to do Guy Gardner.
No, well, thank God, no Guy Gardner, but but Kyle, I would love to see.
I would love to see Kyle,
but
too.
It seems like Hal and John are the ones that they really want to talk about. Another piece of news, I actually read this the other day. They were doing the reboot of The Crow, and Luke Evans was the lead in that, and he's actually dropped out now. Yeah. So they're looking for someone to replace him.
I just think this is a bad idea.
I just don't think it needs to happen. Well, sometimes, like we were talking about reboots last night, like it just. If something was wrong with the original, or if it's been like a really long time, do you think there's something fresh you can bring to it, or if you want to make it more like the source material, something like that? I can see that, but just rebooting it seems like they reboot things just to reboot them.
Yeah, and this one's
I just don't feel like The Crow is one that needs to be necessary.
It had its time period. That's the thing. Like, I'm not saying that The Crow is over and stuff like that. It's like it's a timeless thing. I love that, but it's like one of those, like, for the movie wise, I felt like the 90s was its time period. That's when it came out, when everything was very dark and extreme and fucking, shit just being crazy. I don't think it'll survive because you can see how the sequels went. They just constantly kept getting worse and worse and worse, and people just stopped caring less and less and less. It's just, I don't think that's the time period for The Crow anymore.
I had a couple people ask me if I had been watching Agent Carter because I was a fan of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the thing is I had planned on watching it and sort of forgot to DVR it when it started. And at this point, it's been several episodes, and I'm just going to kind of wait for Netflix on it. It wasn't one that I had like a massive amount of interest in the first place. Like I had just enough interest to be willing to watch it. But I will watch it eventually, but not unlikely until it gets on Netflix. Now, in some other news that I saw, and I don't think we've talked about this at all actually, but there's been a lot of talk about the next Star Trek movie, and of course they'd lost a director, and then things have changed up there. But Simon Pegg confirmed that he is co-writing.
Oh, nice.
This one, so I think that's actually kind of a step in the right direction because he does have a talent for writing, and and he loves Trek.
Oh yeah,
loves it.
Yeah.
And so
you
I
can
think
see
that would definitely be a good
everything
thing.
he does, like as far as like science fiction, whether with the comedy and stuff, like Spaced.
Space is fantastic.
Space has a lot of like heavy, Trek stuff in there, and I trust him. He's done a really good job.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it seems like the rest of the cast trust him too.
Yeah,
to do it. So.
And they have also been. This is a very early development stages, but there has been there's very serious talks now going on about doing the live action Static Shock series for Warner Brothers. Is that something you think you could get into?
I don't know.
I think Static Shock was an okay cartoon, but I actually found him much more interesting when they used him in Batman Beyond later on as the grown-up version.
Grown-up version and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on what network and what they're trying to go with, because I feel like it's one of those things where it's too easy. They could go be campy and goofy, and it's just you don't take them seriously. I remember watching shows back in my, in the young teens and stuff about that, like teens becoming superheroes, and it always seemed like a joke. They're like never really had too much of a like, serious tone to it. Maybe one or two episodes, but it was always just a, crazy thing.
You were telling me something about a Vixen animated series?
Yeah, apparently they're doing a Vixen animated series that's supposed to connect universe-wise with The Flash and Arrow. Yeah. So that should be interesting too. Yeah.
And the most terrifying news from comicbookmovie.com, Chinese toy manufacturer begins production of bootleg sexy inflatable pony girl. Which, oh god, this picture could not be properly explained. Essentially, it is a giant, like probably 6 foot tall, inflatable Fluttershy, I think is.
I think it's Rainbow Dash.
No, Rainbow Dash. Yes, Rainbow Dash anthropomorphized fuck doll, and it's apparently $600. This picture has to be seen to be believed. It astounds me the level of places that people will go to fuck things that are gross.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around. I'm actually quite dumbfounded by the existence of this. I can't wrap my head around this My Little Pony sex doll.
Yeah. So
that's fucking gross. Yeah. But the Vixen series, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. So it seems like they're basically doing everything they can to expand that universe, since basically they've said that what's on TV will not be connected to what's in the movies.
Which I think, like in some ways, that's like, oh, that kind of sucks, because like I love the world that they've done with the TV shows, but then I understand that they don't want to be like copying that Marvel formula, Yeah. But Vixen is a character I love. Yeah. I have loved for a long time, and I think that she is a very cool character and would work really well in that sort of a format.
So yeah, the animated for that, I don't know now if it's going to be like what's going to happen with it, but I just know that they've taught that. I've seen pictures of it, of the animated thing. Plus, there's the talk of them possibly connecting with the Supergirl. Yeah. So, I mean, they are expanding, more and more. You've got Flash, Arrow, Black Canary, Arsenal, Atom, Firestorm. Now you've got Vixen and possibly Supergirl all getting added to this one, television universe. And they've also alluded to, like, DC is known for this, too, is the multiverse. The multiple different things. And they basically are saying that because their movie and the TVs are not connected, doesn't necessarily, think of them as, like, the TV as one universe, like Earth 37 or some shit like that. And, the movies are another. So,
well, speaking of DC movie news, there's been a lot of talk this week about the Suicide Squad movie because Tom Hardy, who had been cast as Rick Flag, has dropped out.
Like a bitch.
And he gave an excuse, something about conflicting schedules, but what the buzz going around is that he was not happy with the fact that the movie seemed to be focusing more around...
Well, yeah, the script kind of got rewritten, and it became more about the Joker and Deadshot, which I hate to say it, like, sorry.
Deadshot is what it should be.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, Tom Hardy, that he is, you know, if you guys saw Assault on Arkham, it makes sense. If they're doing a story similar to that, where the Suicide Squad is going up against Joker.
It's very much a story about Deadshot.
Yeah, then it would make sense that Deadshot, Harley, and Joker are more of the main characters. Rick Flag
is a tertiary character.
Is a tertiary character. I'm not saying I don't like the character, but it's like, I'm sorry, yeah, because great for you, Tom, that you've been the lead in a bunch of movies, but it's not always going to be the case. You're playing opposite, like, Will Smith, dude. He's bigger news than you. Like, I hate to say it, like, he is. Yeah. Even though he's made shitty movies lately, a lot of them, he'll still be bigger news.
And I saw that they also offered it to Jake Gyllenhaal, and he passed as well.
He did.
On it.
But he does want to do a comic book movie.
Yeah.
You know? I just don't think that's the character he wants to come in and play. This is the thing. You're not going to get an A-list actor to come in and want to play, at best, maybe a second-tier character. Like...
Yeah, one of the other rumors currently is that it seems like a possibility that John Barenthal, who, if you guys watch Walking Dead, you remember Shane.
Yep, Shane.
Is very likely to accept it.
I think he should. I think that would be great for him.
He's the right level of actor for that.
He can do the
physicality, and he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And it's a good character role.
Yeah. And he does do good character.
If that happens, I think that would be a good thing to happen for sure.
Now, there's been a lot of like back and forth on the casting for this movie. Some people like it, some people hate it. You know, some people think they need to wipe the entire cast and start over.
I'd be fine if they got rid of Will Smith. Other than that, I really don't have any super offense to it. Like Jared Leto, I'm like, I puzzle over him, but I see that he plays dark characters, and he's also played some more whimsical characters, things like that. So I can see it's not a stretch for me to say that he would be the Joker. He's just he's not an actor that I like all that much.
Yeah.
The thing is, when they said Tom Hardy dropped out, I have to say I was kind of like woohoo, because like I'm not really a fan. Like I've seen him in basically one movie that I ever liked him in, and it was when he played Shinzon in Star Trek Nemesis.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm not impressed. Like I didn't watch the fucking Batman movie because I won't. And
Bane was shit.
Bane is shit, and the fucking that whole movie is shit. And then I haven't seen Inception, which I've heard is a movie that he's more known for and stuff like that.
Inception and that fighting
again. Chris Nolan, don't care because I don't fucking like Chris Nolan.
No, and then the fighting one he
Bronson.
does.
You're talking about the MMA movie.
Yeah, the MMA with the brother. And it's just like he plays in the like. Honestly, I really don't have any desire to see this Mad Max one because it's like I don't feel he's a. I don't really have any
desire to see that, no matter if he's in it or not.
Yeah, I don't feel he's a strong lead. I mean, he was also in that spy movie with Chris Pine and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, well, you just said the magic word that makes my fucks disappear. It's just Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing.
Unless it's Pleasantville, because that movie fucking rocks.
When I think about stuff like that, he's not the person I remember. He's the one I'm usually like, oh, and who's the other guy? Like
who's the other guy that was in that movie?
He is not memorable to me at all. He is he's like a tertiary guy who's like quiet and can
he just sort of exists.
You know?
I mean, he's not really anybody that I would cast in anything myself.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully, I think it could go, to Barenthal and see. I think it would be strong. I think it would be good for him.
I know you were talking about. Now, was it a rumor about the He-Man and Chris Hemsworth thing?
Oh, okay, yeah. So this has been like a long time, like running joke thing and stuff because they, they're they have. Yeah, I guess it's happening. They're gonna be making a He-Man movie, and people have really been like joking, but also kind of like half-ass serious about wanting Chris Hemsworth to play He-Man, like thinking he could do it.
I don't see it.
I mean, just because he plays Thor, it's a big fluff.
I get that, but
guy.
Thor and He-Man could not be more different, though.
Yeah, they're very different. It's
I feel like if you're, I know you have to go one of two ways with He-Man. You have to make it a comedy, or you have to get it very, very serious. I think it's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they got to go serious with it. Yeah. I don't think a comedy will really work with it because you can't go too far in between because you saw what happened with the Dolph movie.
Exactly.
They tried to have like comedy elements to it.
I don't think that movie's as bad as people say it is.
No, I liked it, but the problem is like the comedy really tended to, fuck up
cereal,
shit, shit in it. Basically, it wasn't because it was bad comedy. It was just they used the wrong type of comedy. I don't think Chris Hemsworth is the right person to play He-Man anymore. I think it needs to be somebody else. Plus I know they're supposed to be doing another The Huntsman, like Snow White.
Oh, really? I didn't know they were doing that.
Yeah, they're doing a sequel to that.
I still haven't seen that.
It's interesting.
I know Seventh Son is coming up here soon.
Fuck yeah.
That's one that we've both been looking forward to for a long ass time because it sat on the shelf for almost a year.
Yeah.
Is it a first run for you?
Oh yeah, it's definitely opening night. I want to see it, the opening weekend at least. I want to see it because it has all those elements that I like as a fantasy movie. I don't care if it's not gonna make money or anything like that. I like what they're selling, on this movie, so I'm going with it.
The other interesting rumor that I had heard, and I don't have too much detail on it, but there had been a short little article that I read that there has been a rumor that we may see Hulk in Grey Hulk form in the Avengers.
Oh yeah, the possibility of that, the Grey Hulk.
If you could see my face right now, because I love Grey Hulk, and I would wonder though if they would go in that direction. Yeah. Which version of Grey Hulk would it be? Like original Savage sort of Grey Hulk from the very beginning,
cavemanish,
or would it be Smart Hulk?
Yeah.
Like Joe Fixit style,
I think
there's so many different levels of Hulk. There's brutish original Grey Hulk, then Savage Green Hulk, then there was Grey Hulk with the Todd McFarlane run, and then when that Grey Hulk, it's like he's smart, but he's not Banner level smart, so he's kind of like a mobstery guy. Joe Fixit, he's like an enforcer for the mob and stuff. And then you go further on past that to where there's the merged Hulk, which is green and gray mentally merged together by Doc Samson, and becomes what they called Smart Hulk, which was like Hulk with full Banner level intelligence. That's when they did Hulk and
that's where he wore the full clothes, and Rick was always with him.
Yeah, and that's when he also was part of that group whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. But I just there is a greedy part of me that would love to see a Grey Hulk on the screen, but I just don't know how you would do it.
I don't want to see it at all. Yeah, because they can't seem to pin down what Hulk they want. Yeah. And I feel like it's a revolving door of Hulks. It's an ever-changing, oh, look, another Hulk, another different Hulk. Okay, and then we're doing this with the Hulk. It's they can't stay consistent with it. So... Yeah, I agree. I think it just needs to, if you can give me a good reason, if you can explain it well.
Yeah, if it's explained well, I could accept it.
Yeah, but Hulk has always been their weakest link and strongest character. That's the problem. Yeah. It's you take something that they constantly look back on themselves self-hating, oh, this is shit. I'm okay, there was some good things that came out of the Eric Bana one. There was a lot of good things that came out of the Edward Norton one. But it's they seem to just want to completely just erase everything that happened, in those movies. It was never, we never did this. That was never happened, brush it under the rug. Yeah. So it's you guys need to just stick with Hulk and run with it, So I'm kind of, I'm really skeptical when they're, especially considering he's not doing solos.
Yeah, they're not going to do another solo one.
Yeah, so it's you guys are really... You just need to pick a Hulk and stick with it because you're not giving them a lot of time to do this. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I really just think Hulk's kind of been brushed to the wayside, and they just sort of use him in whatever way they can think of, and I'm annoyed by that as being such a big Hulk fan. But, it is what it is. They've done 2 movies, and neither one of them have quite been where they should be.
The problem is, by nature, Hulk in the Avengers makes no goddamn sense. Yeah. He's not a team player. No. He is always a loner. Bruce is a loner because he's always hunted, and the Hulk is just a big fucking ball of rage, know. And he can be reasoned with to a degree and stuff like that, but you're never going to be in control.
Hulk made more sense team-wise being in the Defenders because it was more of a renegade sort of team. Yeah. But, like I said, it is what it is, and, I'll try to enjoy it as much as I can, but we'll see what they do with it. I'm more excited at this point about Vision than anything else about the movie. But
bastards still ain't shown it. In the freaking
they need to fucking show it and stop pissing me off.
They seem to be more talking now about like the Captain America 3 Civil War shit.
I could care less about that.
But they did confirm that like Andy Serkis is Ulysses Claw in Ultron. So woo!
What's that there? Oh wait, is it
fuck?
the fucks floating away from me?
And this is hard. But this is hard though because like
Claw's a shitty character.
But
I like
Andy Serkis is
yeah.
a great actor, so it's like, I think they're trying to make more out of this character because they need it to be more.
Yeah, go find a couple comics and read comics that Claw's involved in. You might as well bring in Angar the fucking Screamer. It's about that level.
Well, it's like they need him to be more because they're this is supposed to try and be the transition stuff with like Black Panther, and, all that stuff, and it's like they're trying to build up these characters more that just don't need to. So, and
we'll see what happens. But we're coming up on the hour mark, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week. And the next time you hear from us,
Sexapalooza.
Sexapalooza. We're not sure actually the order that these shows are going to go in necessarily. We might just, depending on how fun Sexapalooza is, we might end up just doing that show that weekend.
Yeah. 2:15.
If not, it'll be the weekend after.
2K15.
But from the basement this week, I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave. Don't fuck corpses.
Yes, please God, no more necrophilia. And until next week, the basement door is closed. Chonies.